Brokers Real Estate, and I am here today with
Zach Pickering with Caliber Home Loans, Bluffton.
Right on. And so we wanted to come together and just talk a little bit, basically, about some things that we think you guys might need to know, or at least be happy to know. And today's topic is going to be about VA loans. And so, Zach and I thought this might be a good thing to talk about. One, because Zach is without question a subject matter expert when it comes to VA loans. And I am a vet. We actually own my home through a VA loan. And so, with my history on that, and, in this current market, VA loans are kind of looked down upon a little bit. We thought we would kind of chat and just kind of discuss what all that might look like. And so, Zach, what can we tell folks about just understanding kind of a VA offer to begin with, right?
Yeah, so there's a ton of misconceptions on the agent side. I feel VA buyer coming to the market, you might have people PCSing here, you might have people retiring here. I've helped a ton of people who were stationed in Beaufort who want to move to Hilton Head or back to Beaufort, coming from California. One benefit of VA loan, which changed a couple years ago, there's no longer a loan limit. So if you can qualify and have full entitlement, you could buy a $2 million home if you wanted to in Hilton Head. So there's no longer a cap in regards to what your benefit is. In this market, and you don't understand the VA client or the VA buyer or VA loan process, I definitely encourage you to do that, because that is our market, and veterans mean a ton to this area and our nation. So do you want to talk a little bit about misconceptions on offers?
Yeah, so one of the things that we see, and we do a lot of listings as well, that our sellers and or the listing agents that we deal with, almost to the point where they don't want to accept a VA offer, right? So why is that, first and foremost?
That's a great question, because if I was an agent, a listing agent, I'd want a VA offer. And appraisals have been a challenge over the last couple of years as home prices have continued to elevate, and appraisals trying to catch up with the value of homes, right? So VA has what's called Tidewater, which some people may know what that is, some people may have no clue. But on a conventional loan, FHA loan, jumbo loan, we order an appraisal, the lender, which is independent. It goes to a random appraiser. Appraisal comes back, and it's either going to be at value or not at value. And then I'm going to call you and say, hey, Scott, this appraisal came in short. And then you're like, okay. And then we go back and figure out what that looks like. So we could possibly provide better comps through a reconsideration of value process, or you renegotiate, or the deal just doesn't work, right? So those are your options. With VA, the appraiser goes to your property, and then they would raise their hand and enact what's called Tidewater and say, hey, based on the comps I see, this property's not going to appraise. So you now know that on the front end before we even have the appraisal. That then gives you, the agent, the opportunity to work with the appraiser and provide better comps than what they're seeing, because the appraiser wants to work with you to make this deal work for the veteran. No other loan product or program offers that at all.
Not to interrupt you, but I will say that in our time as a real estate agent, when the appraisal comes in low, and tell me if this is what you're experiencing, but from our side of things, we often just have to deal with that, right? Appraisers are kind of the end-all be-all. And I think what you're saying is with the VA, they kind of come to us and they say, look, we have a problem. Help me understand where you came up with this number. And Maria and I at the Love Group have actually been able to overcome several of those, right? And so that seems to be uncommon with other loan types. And so that's got to be a benefit, just the ability to kind of fight that result.
A huge benefit. And VA appraisals are ordered through the VA. So there's VA certified appraisers that come out and do the appraisers. In this market, we've seen turnaround in 5 to 7 days, right? So the Tidewater piece, the timing piece, but there's more, right? So let's say that appraiser enacts Tidewater, you provide better comps, value's still short, we're still off. The veteran can appeal to the VA, Regional Loan Center, and literally write a letter, here's what I see, here's what's going on, and the VA can manually bump the value of that appraiser outside of the appraiser, right? So when a listing agent says, I don't want to take a VA offer, based on that appraisal piece alone, like, why would you not want to do that, right? Because you will have the opportunity to work with the appraiser on comps, and then if that fails, the veteran can appeal it directly to the VA. Literally, the VA will send a letter that says, we've reviewed this appraisal, and the value is now X. And then that's it. That's your loan file. Another misconception is timing, right? Just like agents, there's lenders that don't know VA either, right? So if you have an agent and a lender who neither understand VA, and then you have someone in his family PCSing to Beaufort, and then no one on either side understands, that's a problem. But VA close, we could close a standard VA loan in 21 days, right? So short close time, work through on the appraisal with Tidewater and the appeal process, and VA could go down to 580 credit score, allows for the highest debt to income ratio, zero money down, and no PMI. Like, I guess I don't understand why someone wouldn't take a VA offer.
Well, I think we can come to the conclusion that it's because a lot of people just don't know some of the things we're talking about. You know, and you mentioned close times being quick, as low as 21 days too. One of the things that we're beginning to utilize as a tool, right, from the real estate perspective side of things, is as interest rates grow, right? I'll ask you a question and then kind of lead back into that. Are VA loans assumable?
They are.
They are.
Yeah, which is an interesting point. So VA loans are assumable. The new buyer or veteran would qualify. But let's say that you helped a client 3 years ago and their interest rate was 2.75, right? That house now goes on the market. Let's assume they have a ton of equity in that home. You could list that home and in your contract language that it is assumable to another veteran. So instead of that veteran's rate being potentially double that in today's market, they could assume that loan at 275.
I mean, looking directly at you guys, do you understand what that means? You're basically having the interest rate of what the current market values are. You're talking hundreds of dollars a month in savings?
Correct.
Hundreds of dollars a month in savings. This is the difference between a lot of veterans, a lot of active or military, getting a home and not getting a home, right? We're seeing this all the time here. And I think that's just such a huge piece of the puzzle. So, in general, what's one thing about this VA process that you wish people knew up front that would make all of our lives a little bit easier?
Well, I think a lot of the education comes to the buyer, to the veteran, knowing what they can afford, right? Rents around here are obviously not inexpensive. So, I've helped veterans that have PCS throughout the United States, and by the time they retire, have 3 rental properties and a real estate portfolio, right? But I think there just needs to be more education out there to the VA buyer that's moving here, like, we've closed loans where the veteran brought nothing to the table. If we can negotiate seller paid closing costs, and the veteran has $600, we could make that work potentially.
Interesting. You mentioned one other thing too that a lot of people I think is maybe a misconception. I can only use my VA loan once, and by that I don't mean I'll not only use it once, but once I've used it, I can use it again on my own home. But without that cap you're talking about, so if I say live here in Beaufort, I'm military, right? Mm-hmm. And I transfer to California, I've got my property here that I'm renting out, right, to another Marine, let's say.
Yep.
Can I use my VA loan again in California?
You could. You'd have partial entitlement, so you may have a down payment, but you could use your benefit again.
How many times can I do that?
Depending on the loan sizes and amounts, you could do that quite a few times.
Interesting. So that you can see how it would be beneficial for somebody to grow their rental portfolio.
Absolutely.
Literally around the country.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. That's been very helpful. Listen, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Guys, we appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned. Like both our pages at Low Country Love Group, and I'm sure Zach has a page he'd like to invite you to.
Yeah, which is simple. It's just my name, ZachPickering.com.
There you go. And so stay in touch, like and follow our pages. We're going to have our information down below so you can see our phone numbers, our email addresses, and definitely stay with us on social media. We're going to make this a series, and I'm sure we're going to be bringing more information to you guys again.